Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Nedarim, pages 40 through 46. Daf Mem 40. Im yomru l'chayladim b'nei uzkanim sator. Let's say young people are telling you to build something, to do something, a constructive act. Uzkanim, when the elderly people are telling you sator, do not do it. In fact, do something destructive. Shemal zakanim, despite your best instincts, listen to the elders. And don't listen to the young people. Shebinyan yeladim sitira, because the act of construction done by young whippersnappers, young inexperienced people, can actually be an act of destruction. It will result in a bad outcome. And the destructive act, or seemingly destructive act, done by the elders can in fact be constructive. It can be binyan, something good in the end. What is the example, the biblical example that proves the point? Siman Rechavam ben Shlomo, that Rechavam, the son of Shlomo, was the king of Israel, and after his father Shlomo had died, his father had imposed very severe taxes on the people, and the people were not interested in paying anymore, and they wanted to know what kind of king Rechavam would be. And he said, I'm going to be even more burdensome than my father was. Why did he do this? Because even though the elderly said to ease up on the people, he didn't listen to them. He listened to the young people, the young advisors who said, go even more oppressive. What was the end result? He lost the 10 tribes. The northern tribes broke off and became the kingdom of Israel. And so what he thought was going to be a binyan by listening to the young people turned out to be a stira. Okay, Mem Aleph 41. B'choser kol, the Torah speaks of lacking everything. That in the Tochacha, there's a scenario where you're b'choser kol. What does it mean to lack everything? What is the bare essential that a person needs? So the Tanoim and Amoraim, of course, offer different theories as to what's the basic thing a person needs. Rav said, b'lo ner b'lo shulchan, needing a candle and a table. Alright, so for a scholarly person, you have to have your implements to do your learning, a table and a candle. That is a very basic need. Rav Chisda mar b'lo isha. Rav Chisda said, if you don't have a wife is a basic essential for a man. Rav Sheshes Amar below Shamish. Rav Sheshes, who was blind, said a basic essential is you have to have a servant, a Shamish, to help you out, get through the day. Rav Nachman Amar below Dei. Rav Nachman, who was a judge, says you need understanding, which makes sense. For a person who's going to be on the bench, they need to have Deya. Tana in the Brisa said, below Melech below Ravav, if you don't have salt and you don't have grease. Why? Because if you don't have salt and you don't have grease, your food is going to be very bland. And who wants to live with if they have to have bland food every meal? Membet 42. Hamudu hana mechavero. If you're prohibited from benefiting from your fellow, lo yashilenu v'lo yashal mimenu, and then you can't borrow an item from him, and he can't borrow from you. Lo yalvenu v'lo yalvam menu. You can't lend him money, he can't borrow money from, you can't lend money from him. Lo yimkor v'lo yikach mimenu, and you can't buy from him, you can't sell to him. In other words, commercial transactions in both directions are prohibited. But you could ask a question: why? In the case where I'm not allowed to benefit from the other guy, so I understand I shouldn't borrow from him because I'm benefiting. However, why can't he borrow from me? I'm not benefiting from that. And the Gemara answers, among several answers, well, we had to make a gezerah, a din d'Rabbanan, a rabbinical decree, to make it a two-way street, because if you don't impose one, you won't have the other. Mem Gimel. Hamuder hana mechavero elo mayochel. What happens if I say I won't benefit from I will not give benefit to so-and-so, and then he's desperate, he has nothing to eat, and I want to help him out. But I, by way of neder, I'm banned from helping this guy out. So I go to a third party, and I say to the third party, listen, I can't give benefit to the other guy, but I want to because he's desperate, he's starving. And then I said, I don't know what to do for him. Well, what happens is, person A gives money to person C, and person C gives money to person B. So it's not directly from A to B, therefore the nether was not violated, but person B who is starving gets the help that he needs. Okay. Mem Daled. Hamafkir et karmo, ulashach arman ubetzaro. What happens if person declares ownerless their vineyard, but the very next morning they get up and go harvest the grapes? So it sounds like it was all a big farce, the declaration of ownerlessness that was done the day before. What's the status of the produce now? Chayav beperet, be'olot, b'shicha b'peya. This produce is liable to have payah, the corner of the field given to the poor, and the law of shicha, the forgotten sheaves, and the law of the droppings of the peret and olut, all those things hold true, despite the declaration of ownerlessness, meaning, in some respects, it's not considered ownerless. However, pater min hamaiser, there is an exemption from the tithe, and that exemption is because, at the core level of the oraita, the items really were hefker. Memhei, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi Omer, Divar Torah, under Torah law, afilu be'echad have hefker, a declaration of ownerlessness is effective even in the presence of only one other person. So if that's true, then why did the sages say that we want you, if you're going to make something ownerless, to do it in the presence of three other people? So that one person can be the beneficiary of your declaration of ownerlessness, meaning he can pick it up and say it's his. And you could have two other people be witnesses to the fact that the original owner declared it ownerless, and this other fellow picked it up and it's now his. This way there's no ambiguity, there are witnesses to the transfer of ownership. Memvav 46. I prohibited benefit for myself from this other fellow. I'm not allowed to benefit from him. Yesh lo merchatz, and this other fellow has a bathhouse, or beis habad, or a press, an olive press in the city, Muskarn Ba'ir, and it's leased out to some other proprietor. So I'm not allowed to benefit from person B. Person B has these institutions in the town, the bathhouse and the olive press, but he doesn't run them. Someone else runs them as a leaseholder. If the owner of the bathhouse or the olive press has a hand in the business, has some ownership stake in the business, then I, who can't benefit from him, cannot use these facilities. However, if he has no ownership stake whatsoever, it's just a lease of a third party, then mutter, I, who can't benefit from that guy, am allowed to use those facilities. Everyone have a great week.